So, now the Vault Knights of the Frozen Throne has been revealed, guys. We're gonna do our final review. We're gonna do our review on my predictions. Every card has been revealed. The expansion is now just there. 135 new cards added to the game. And I'm gonna make my prediction on what I think every class will go towards which direction. And what tier I will rate it in. What I think are the power decks for the meta. And what I just think in general about everything. So let's see. We're gonna take our first look at Druid. Druid already being an alright class was pretty active in the meta with some different archetypes. And looking at Druid, guys, I think Druid gained quite some nice cards. Druid gained especially some really great control Druid cards. We have now the 10 mana spell for Druid, what I think is a really good class or a really good card. We gained some really actually strong token drops. I think the Druid of the Swarm is a really strong 2-drop. And 2-drop that has 1/5 with taunt is insane. Play it even in a token deck. I think the Crypt Lord has definitely potential. I have to say that the Hadronox is actually a card with such a sick effect that it might see play in Big Druid, or it can make a taunt Druid happening. Also, the Scarabsar is a card with definitely potential. So we have some taunt Druid cards that has potential, some taunts in general, some already really good taunts for their cost, some really strong token cards for Druid. Malfurion is kind of an alright card, kind of like Justicar comparable, but I wonder where it can really fit in. But with the Infestion, I think this is one of the best cards that is revealed out of the set. I think there are quite some strong token and taunt cards being revealed. I think Druid is already being really active on the meta. So I have really high expectations of Druid in this meta. I definitely think that with J-Druid around, with an aggro Druid around, what has been already in a really strong tier, and with a big Druid around, with maybe even a possible taunt Druid coming up, I have to say Druid is coming really well out of this expansion, and Druid will be a tier 1 deck. Where Druid definitely gained a lot of different tools. Hunter I'm a little bit worried about. We have Deathstalker Rexxar. Deathstalker Rexxar is, I think, the worst Death Knight card revealed. I don't think Death Knight Rexxar has any great place in any Hunter deck. It's super slow. You pay 6 mana for a 2 damage AoE effect and you gain a hero power where you make your card, but you still have to pay the full mana where you make the card for. You still have to play the cost of the card you made together. So a really bad hero power, a really not a good Death Knight card, I think, in general. There is some room for Secret Hunter. I definitely think the Pertesa or this card is definitely good, the legendary. There are some really, the epic cards are both really slow and I don't like too much. The Widow is really good. Could do this with the Grandmother and some great tempo gain. The other cards I'm a little worried about. The Trap is alright, but it's kind of like a comparable Snake Trap in a way that, yes, it's nice, but what is it really gonna do? The Bear Shark has some potential. Maybe play that is alright. Looking in general at Hunter, I don't think Hunter gained enough. I think Hunter gained a little bit with especially the Widow is a really good card. You will play this card in a lot of Hunter decks, mid-range Hunter, or yeah, some maybe even on some aggressive Hunter. Some alright cards with the Beer Shark and the legendary, but just looking at this overall, looking and keeping in mind what other archetype gained, keeping in mind that Hunter was an alright class. I think this is an expansion where Hunter is a class that really didn't gain too much. And I think Hunter will be one of the classes that will come out really weak in this meta, and I will rate Hunter as a tier 3 deck. Mage! So Mage is always interesting and always a little bit hard to gain a complete look at for me. We have some really great value cards for Mage, and this is a kind of an interesting concept for Mage where Mage might get away not playing win condition anymore. Where Mage always want to play with some burn potential. Maybe Frostlich Jaina with such a sick card in value wise that it can get away of the playstyle, and you wanna like play a super defensive mage and you will win then no matter what because of the hero power. The only thing is that really gonna be always the best to go for? If you compare Frostlich Jaina, value wise it's an insane card, but if you compare it to Alexstrasza, well, the heal of Alexstrasza is a battle cry, and the offense of Alexstrasza can be so strong that Jaina is not a card you want to play in your freeze mage. So that's really interesting. Or even more elemental based Jaina deck can go off, or if something else, because Jaina has great value. I am a little bit worried about Jaina because of the expensive and how it might be a little bit hard to set up, but it definitely has potential. Cindergrossa, now the Lich King has been revealed. I'm a little bit more worried about the Cindergrossa, because I think you want to play the Lich King always over Cindergrossa. This is not a good card, the Mysteries. It's more like a nerf to Glyph or something that I feel, because the card is so bad. This card has a little potential for a more Quest Priest maybe. Same for this one. So we have to keep Quest Priest in mind, or Quest Mage in mind. This is not so good of a card. This card is alright. This Elemental can make some work. The Cold Wave is an alright card. It's a 3-mana 3/4 withdraw potential, so this card is not bad either. The Secret is not so... I think it's not so great. And this is a good spell. I like this spell a lot. But this spell is more like it will be an addition to current Mage decks. So Mage being kind of powerful already. I don't think Mage gained too much. If I just look at the cards, I am not too impressed about Mage. I think they gained some nice value cards, but Mage not really in the need of value cards. Yeah, Mage just might lose the top tier now, and I think Mage is going to be a tier 2. Mage is still strong, but the main reason I'm still gonna put Mage in the tier 2 class is because of the current power of Mage. Little bit addition maybe with another removal, and I can definitely see some kind of Frostlich Jaina working off, and also the Quest Mage has a little more potential. Alright, Paladin! So now looking at Paladin. Paladin gains Uther as their Death Knight, and I think Uther, as I already explained, definitely one of the strong ones. Gaining on 5/3 lifesteal weapon, it gives Uther additional lifesteal, and 5/3 lifesteal weapon is healing you for 15. You gain already 5 armor from the start, and you also gain win condition. What I think is really important for control Paladin, to gain some win condition in towards the control matchups, like against the Jade Druids, like against the Priest, like against the maybe more control based Mirrors or Shamans. Really nice. Uther definitely a good card. Bolvar, where a lot of people are really on the not really feeling this card is really bad. I still think there is room for Bolvar. I don't think it definitely still has potential with the power creeps of also having the Tarim, of a Spiker Steed that you can hit here, but also of maybe playing now additional Divine Shield minions. I am still not really think that it might seem playing in the current Paladin decks, but it shall not be underestimated. Bolvar still being a card that we can look out for. Blackguard is really interesting. When your hero is healed, deal that much damage to your enemy minion. You can now imagine playing Uther, and you just play the Blackguard, and you just heal for 5 and you deal 5 damage. So this is kind of like a battle cry card. It's a good card. I like this. The only problem I see for this card is the 6 slot from the Paladin. Paladin already having Spikering Steed, Paladin already having the Tarim. You cannot play too many 6-drops, but this card seems pretty reasonable to me, and with a stat line of 9 health, Paladin loves this. Lightsower is not so great of a card, it's too expensive, and the weapon is really bad stat line. Crusader is not a good card, has to be in some kind of aggro Paladin, but even there it's not stat-wise doing enough. Holding Commander is a nice card, draws you a card, definitely a card that Control Paladin is going to consider for their consistency. Might play a one-off because of not too many Divine Shield minions, depending on how many Divine Shield minions there are in. There are also additional cards for Paladin, the Corpse Taker for example, that I think can fit in great in Paladin. Not really sure about this card, I don't like it too much, the stand, but alright. I think the Chillblade Champion will be broken in a lot of classes, but I don't think it fits the Paladin archetype, because of the heal already being one of their power levels, and charge is not something Paladin is in need of. Spell is nice, good spell, will be really strong in also a lot of other classes. Paladin already having great removal tools, so a little bit worried if it even has any place in current Paladin decks, but card is alright, worried that if it's gonna seem getting played. And the Protector is a really good card. This is a card you shall not underestimate. It's a good card in Murloc Paladin because for 1 mana you have a Taunt and Divine Shield. It's going to protect all your other Murlocs. It might be even a good tech card in Control Paladin decks because of the annoyingness of the card that you have to remove it. So I think this is a really good card. There are even better combos possible. Play this card at turn 7 and you can combine it with Spiker's Teeth. Play it with Terim. Like this card is really good. Really good card for Paladin. I think Paladin is already a pretty strong deck. It has 2 different archetypes. I definitely think the direction of this expansion goes more towards Control Paladin. And I think Control Paladin already being such a strong class from the base set, I think the additions that they gain are pretty nice. And I think this is going to be... I think Paladin is going to be top tier. I think Druid has maybe still a little bit more better, but Paladin goes for me tier 1. Paladin goes tier 1 for me. Druid is definitely strong, but I definitely will rate Paladin in tier 1. Murloc Paladin being still alright. Gaining a little bit of annoyingness with their Protector is definitely something they will like. And the Control Paladin having now the access to Uther, maybe the Blackguard already being good. Gaining also good cards, I didn't mention that, but gaining good neutral cards, I think Paladin. I read Paladin tier 1. Alright, Priest is next. So, Priest, Versate, Enduin being an alright card. Paladin, or the Enduin is alright. Definitely has a hero power that is nice, that gains some win condition. But the problem of Enduin might be a little bit the battle cry of... the battle cry that it is a little bit questionable. You don't always want to play it when you can play it because you want to remove the 5 or more minions, so you pay a lot for that, and that worries me a little bit. Benedictus, crazy card, but at this current game stand, we are not really in a fatigue battle or where there are decks that really fatigue. So I don't think, I just compare it a little bit to Prince Malchezaar in that way that, yeah, I mean it does a lot and it can be insane, but the meta just doesn't really fit it currently. Obsidian is a pretty nice card. It definitely has potential. But what I see currently with Priestess is a more Kazakas, Raza, Anduin based Priest where you play all one-offs more. And then this card might find work. I can see it. Embrace Darkness, choose a minion at the start of your turn, gain control of it. I think this is can be a good tech card if the control meta goes really control, but at this point too worried. Shadow Assassin, summon a 5/5. Nah, that's... I mean, you can do this with Ysera, but kind of inconsistent. The Mega Thought Steal I don't like. Pretty nice card, the Eternal. One of the best cards revealed from Priest, definitely. The Lifesteal card, it makes me a little... Priest not really in need of Lifesteal, they have great heal gain. Spirit Lash is a decent card for like an Highlander Priest deck. I think I will play it there, so definitely a decent card. And this card, well, there's not really an aggro Priest existing. I don't think Priest is in really need of buffing their minions additionally. So yeah, definitely a decent card, but doesn't really work well together with Priest. I don't think Priest gained that much. I think Priest gained a little bit everything all over the place. Like, yeah, a little bit of this. I am a little bit lost with what are directly Priest is gonna do in this expansion. And I think the main reason that why I'm also is that I'm for that reason on like a more Highlander deck. I think the hero power of Anduin can stack really well with an Highlander deck. But I think Priest is an alright at the moment. Yeah, it's close between tier 2 or tier 3 Priest for me. There's also not really addition to current Priest decks that much. Like, Dragon Priest didn't gain too much. Like, the thing is, I can see Raza Kasaka's Priest. I can really see it. I want to rate Priest tier 2. What classes do you have left? Might be tier 3. It might be tier 3 Priest. It might be tier 3. Rogue. Rogue gains Valera. Valera is definitely an interesting card, and I can see Valera really working well. It is a little bit hard to evaluate card Valera. I think cards like Valera should always be. I think cards like Valera should always be considered being decent, but Rogue cards can always, like, Rogue has so much potential of swinging insane that it's definitely a decent card. But I'm not sure if we are gonna make Valera as good that it's gonna be seen as much play. It's kind of comparable in a way to the old Quest Rogue, but it doesn't have this power level. It just doesn't. But it can definitely be an alright card. Lillian Foss definitely can work towards like a more Steel Priest, I think. Steel Priest is definitely, or Steel Rogue. I think the Thief Rogue is already alright. I've been playing it a lot. It works so well with the Peddler, and working maybe Lillian Foss in that deck can work, but it's really specifically just for that deck. I don't like the Pilsner. Doomerang, really good card. The Haunter, meh. I don't think it's getting a really play. It's pretty meh. Shadowblade, really good weapon. Really good weapon. Roll the Bones, meh. The Bone Baron also meh. And these two cards are meh. Maybe the Poison can make it work. Rogue is definitely alright. I think Rogue is going to be tier 2. I definitely think Valera has potential. I think Lillian Foss, I think the weapons are really insane. And every time Rogue gains a little, they gain a lot. Rogue is a class that I don't think Rogue is that often that it's... Rogue needs so little to become so good. And Rogue is definitely going to be tier 2. The Rogue is not going to be... Where now Rogue maybe is one of the weaker classes. Rogue is definitely going to be tier 2 with this set. It's also a class that can really be good against control. Shaman. Well, with Shaman I'm a little bit lost with all this freeze mechanic. So the freeze mechanic of Murabi. To be honest, I don't see the freeze mechanic working. We now have like a lot of freeze cards. We have 2 Murloc cards, one drawing a Murloc, one freeze Murloc. We have Murabi that is super slow and yeah, only works if there are other minions frozen and then you draw. But that's super slow. This card is really bad. This card is good if Free Shaman will be good, but I don't think Free Shaman is. This is like a Con of Cold kind of card, but why do you want to play that really in Shaman? And the weapon I'm also not too sold about. Pretty power creep here. Not sure if the 2 attack is good enough for this card because 2 attack is kind of weak. Troll is nice for Evolve Shaman. I can see Troll working well in Evolve Shaman, but Troll doesn't make like a new deck on his own. Shaman definitely coming a little bit weaker out of this set. I think Shaman is losing his tier 1 slot and goes to tier 2. I think Shaman goes to tier 2. Alright, and now Warlock, guys. Definitely the class that struggled the most last expansion. So we gained some good cards, and we gained some really bad cards, I feel. I think Dival is an insane card. One of the best cards revealed. There are some decent lifesteal cards. For like this is a decent card. The Gul'dan is definitely a direction. I definitely think the direction to go for Warlock is Demon Lock. The Gul'dan has good potential. It's a good card. It's just that Demon Lock is a little bit questionable, but this card is good. I don't like the Legendary. I think it's not good. It's pretty bad, and I don't think this card Lock is that close yet to make it happen. And then we have like these spells, give a friendly minion and give it to your opponent. I mean, you can do it with Doomsayer. Can definitely be decent for Warlock. But yeah, card is kind of meh. Really bad card, this one. It's just River Crocolisk. Yes, you remove a top card, but then your opponent plays with 29 cards. Only against specific deck it mattered, but otherwise it doesn't. Good demon, pretty alright demon. Deal 1 damage at the end of the turn. Pretty decent card, especially in Arena 2. Choose a friendly minion, destroy it, and random enemy minion. That's pretty decent. Kind of like Deadly Shot if you play with Death Rattles can work, but it's kind of meh at the moment still. Deval really good, Whole Friend really bad. I don't even know why there's just no upside on this card besides it being in 3 mana 3/6. Lifesteal card pretty good. Definitely something Warlock likes. Kinda reminds me on Dark Bomb, but kinda pretty similar in power, I think. And yeah, this is not really a good card. This is not what Su needs. Su needs buff. They don't need more cards that destroy minions. So where Warlock gains some stuff, I am a little bit worried towards Warlock, and I don't think it will put Warlock out of their current spot of being a tier 3 class. I think it has a little bit more potential to be around, and I definitely think also Demon Lock has some potential. Dival is really nice, so definitely some control based. I don't think Zoo has anything to come back, but I definitely think there are some control kind of archetypes that can work for Warlock. But I will still not see I don't still see the power as that other classes have, and I think Warlock will stay tier 3. Alright, and so we go to Warrior. Warrior has a lot of interesting cards. Rotface is like a more tempo warrior based card. I think the legendary has potential, and this legendary has potential because of the crazy effect that if it works, you have potential to make it really work. Garrosh is an alright card that might fit in control warrior decks, but it's not that it makes his own deck. He might be a good addition to the deck. I am not too sold yet on these control cards that are really going for this fatigue plan. Might work though. I mean, Control Warrior has always been a strong one around, and it can definitely has potential towards that. The Death Revenant gain +1/+1 for each damage minion is not. I don't think this card is that good. I think this card is meh, but maybe potential for Temple Warrior. I think Valakir can be a really good card for Temple Warrior, where there's so many synergy of dealing 1 damage that it is kind of like a baby patron, and definitely as a 3-drop that has potential. Pretty good weapon here, Blood Razor. Forge of Souls is, in my opinion, one of the best cards revealed. Maybe I'm on really... It's not a card that looks as insane, as flashy as some other cards that you might do, but 2 mana, draw 2 cards I think is insane, and I think 2 mana, draw 2 cards, draw 2 weapons is even better, because you can coin it out, you play your weapon, you play your Varks at turn 2. Adding weapons, the earlier your weapons you gain, the better it is, the more you can connect with minions on board. So I think this is a really good card, really good. For Pirate Warrior, for Control Warrior, for Temple Warrior, for everything. And the Berserker is also a decent card for Temple Warrior. I definitely think this is a card that works, has so much synergy in Warrior with, for example, now the Valkyr, but also with the Acolyte or with some other cards. Definitely a good card. And yeah, Warrior already having a good Pirate Warrior archetype. Control Warrior being just a decent deck. Even some additions for Taunt Warrior have been revealed. And I think, and I know I'm a big believer of that, and I'm gonna do my best to make it work, but I think that Temple Warrior is also going to be a really good deck, or that definitely has a deck or a potential to really shine this expansion. And Warrior, I rate tier 1. Warrior is a tier 1 class for me. So, short summarize. I think Druid, really strong. Really strong. Different archetypes. Great new cards. Tier 1. Hunter, already a little bit struggling. Little new things, not enough. Control Hunter isn't a thing, guys. Blow that away, please. Tier 3. Mage, already really good. Not really getting as much as some other classes. Gaining a lot of value. Not necessarily what it needs. Tier 2. Still good though. Paladin, already kind of nice. Gaining great control. Gaining great control things. Definitely a strong class. Definitely great new additions, I think. And tier 1. Priest, gaining a little bit everything all over the place. Little believer of a more Kazakus based deck. And the win potential, but also too situational sometimes maybe. Priest will be a little bit meta dependent maybe. Where it can be nice, but it can also be not. It's between tier 2 and tier... It's kind of like between tier 2 and tier 3. It's in between that. It's not as like... It's better than Hunter, but it's not as good as the tier 2 decks. It's in between that. Between tier 2 and tier 3. Rogue is kind of meh currently, but I see Rogue having great potential. Rogue will be in tier 2 deck. They will gain a little bit. I think Valera has potential. I think this weapon package of the Doomerang is definitely nice. I think some neutral cards can work. I think Lilian Foss has potential. And Rogue just needs so little to become pretty decent every time. So, yeah, I will rate Rogue tier 2. I might be a little bit... I think a lot of people are really meh on Rogue currently, but I will rate it tier 2. Shaman. I am not a believer of the free Shaman. A lot of free Shaman added. Shaman gained some really good Evolve cards, so Evolved Shaman will still be around. Really good deck. Troll is a great addition to that. Rest of the decks, not that much potential. Actually, almost no potential. I think Shaman loses his tier 1 slot and goes to tier 2. Warlock. Yes, there is some nice assets. Warlock definitely gained some cards, guys. They definitely gained. But they didn't gain enough. And that's my worry. Demon Lock might become a thing. But I'm just too worried. I don't see the power level that some other control classes has. I was hoping for a little bit more lifesteal mechanic. There is some lifesteal mechanic, but it's in Gul'dan, what is a really expensive card. This is a good card, Drain Soul. Dival is a great card. So there definitely are some potentials, but I just don't see Warlock getting away from tier 3, and I rate it tier 3. Warrior, I think Warrior gained quite some decent. I think Warrior is already kind of strong with different archetypes. I think Warrior just gained a lot of cards, a little bit in all different ways. Pirate Warrior gained even a little bit with a new pirate and a new weapon. I think Control Warrior has always potential. It's just such a strong deck. One of the best decks against any kind of aggro mid-range meta. I am a big believer of the Temple Warrior, as I already said before, and I'm gonna make the deck work too. And yeah, it just seems quite promising, Warrior. I will rate Warrior tier 1. And that's my review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you are as excited as me for the Knights of the Frozen Thrones. And have fun in the new expansion.